Tonight on The Breakdown, we dig deep into the Crusaders' legacy, just what makes them so good. We'll wrap up all the action from Australia and look ahead to the Trans-Tasman competition. And what now for the women's game? Cate Sexton joins the show.
Kia ora koutou katoa malo lele talofa bula. Hello and welcome to The Breakdown. Super Rugby has crowned two champions this past weekend after the Crusaders and the Reds. They took care of business, both in dramatic fashion, both at home in front of their home fans. The question is, what do we now know as we head back into our Trans-Tasman rivalry? Sir JK, Izzy Mills, we'll hear from Ricky very, very soon. But JK, last Friday, 240 kilometres on a bike, 8 hours, 45 minutes, Queenstown to Invercargill. Let's have a look. Did you get the job done? Let's check it out.
It was,
I'm pretty nervous. It's like test match, didn't sleep last night. A few butterflies, but I'm ready.
Good on you, JK.
Righto, JK, run us through it.
well, I was pretty pleased, and Michael Jones would be pleased to know that there is a hand of God, and there was a couple up the hills a couple of times. It was the longest day of my life. Unbelievable, great experience, learned how to ride in a pack. My son was with me, which was really special, but it was a huge day. And butter.
Really?
Yeah, you can buy it. You can buy it.
So hold on.
Explain that.
Yeah.
Do you need
I don't
this?
need that.
You don't need that.
Absolute gold. I don't know.
John Mayhew, the docs looked after you, prepared you well.
Anti-inflammatories, and the butter got me through. So I was actually way better than I thought I was going to be, but great cause, you know, for the Westpac.
So tour of Southland next year.
No, I've signed you guys up.
Excuse me?
You guys have to come, and I've said Izzy's going to come anyway. Yeah, that's your hometown, and I've already told them.
So let's go all outside backs, the likes of KT. We get them involved.
We'll have a Sky cycling team. There it is.
Dear, the tour of Southland is not here. We come. We got it easy. We went to Christchurch. You and I. We did it tough, Mills. Once again, we watched the Crusaders became champions once again.
Yeah, and they did it in good.
Oh, hold on, someone. Well, look at him giving it this one. Look at him. How many titles is that, mate?
I don't know.
You got a handful. Look at him grinning away. He wasn't scheduled to be on this show. He's just showing
Great
up.
call to bring the chat for the Crusaders.
Oh,
good, man.
I tell you what, some great chat afterwards. The fact, Scott Robertson Razor talking about the fact there's an element of dislike out there, which I think is fascinating. The fact that, what, we've been through eras where teams have been dominant. I can't wait to talk about that, because you get the sense pretty much everyone outside of Christchurch was looking for a Chiefs win, right, Mills?
Absolutely they were. And he's probably right about that hatred. Just continues.
I know for a fact.
Now you're sitting here, I mean, it feels even worse.
I know for a fact that everyone hates us. And I always
That's a strong word, though.
I know, and they say it, especially those Hurricanes boys. We're going to talk about one of them later. TJ, I'm not going to name TJ, CJ, one of the coaches. But, there's that general hate. And it's just because they win. And people, they get...
I don't think it's hate.
I think it's respect. It's respect, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's respect.
I mean, we'd like to... It's not hate.
Yeah, OK, well, we'll get there. Let's bring Ricky in now. We've got so much to talk about, Ricky. But get us up to date, because a lot's happened since last Tuesday.
It's a heck of a start. We're 30 seconds in, we're talking about JK's bum. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's start across the ditch, where Brad Thorne has won his first title as a coach. The Reds win in injury time in Super Rugby AU against the Brumbies. Of course, Thorne won a title with the Crusaders in 2008, and too many other titles in league and rugby for us to list here. It was one heck of a finish, though, in Brisbane, and congratulations to Brad Thorne. Further afield, Warren Gatland has named a Lions squad. There's a few surprises in it too. Lots of Scots, no Johnny Sexton, and no place for a few high-profile England players, including prop Kyle Sinclair, who had this to say.
I'm not going to lie, I'm quite emotional right now. Yeah, it's been tough. It means so much to me. Right now, it doesn't kind of make sense, but what I wanted to try and do was lead by example and show the kids, how easy would it have been for me to play the victim and say, how bad is it? Sorry me, throw my toys out the pram, get on with it. Use that anger. I've got so much anger inside me right now, but actually use it in a positive way and do what's best for the team.
Great honest stuff from Kyle Sinclair. Back to that Reds win, and there was plenty of emotion after that one as well. Sonny Bill Williams had a chat with Taniela Tupou on the eve of Mother's Day.
Anything you want to say to your family? I know you're pretty emotional saying that you wish they were here.
Last time I saw my family was back in 2019, so this is just for you, Mom. It's Mother's Day tomorrow, so happy Mother's Day, man.
Congratulations, Susan.
Jeepers, not good for a crier. The man they call the Tongan Thor, though, was also dancing up a storm. He took up the challenge, taking on Scott Robertson at the post-game breakdancing celebration. So not sure who does it better. Here's Razor Ray, always a bit worried that the pants are going to get a bit split in there, but agile and good moves is there. I think a few new ones. Here's the Tongan Thor and his. Very enthusiastic, some good strength as well. Here at home, that is, of course, title number 12 for the Crusaders, who are yet to lose a playoff match at home. Things did take a slightly sour turn for some, though, in the early hours of Sunday morning with complaints of rowdy behaviour at the Chiefs Hotel. They have strenuously denied it was them. Highlanders flanker Shannon Frizzell's alleged to have been involved in an assault of a woman in Dunedin. The club and the police are investigating. But we've got some good news to finish on, and that is for the Hurricanes and New Zealand Rugby. TJ Perenara has signed a 2-year deal with the Wellington-based club and NZR. He could, in fact, play in the Trans-Tasman comp if there is an injury to someone currently in the squad. So TJ coming back to New Zealand Rugby. All the debate, all the discussion that we've had over the last few weeks about that one, lads. And he's coming home.
Massive this rookie for the Hurricanes. Thanks for all of that great information. Massive selections across the Lions. We've only got so much time to talk about so many things, but TJ coming back, significant. I would be surprised if the third halfback somewhere at the Hurricanes maybe just got a bit of a tight hemi at some point, given what's going on. Remembering too, the moment he pulls on those boots once again, he's available for the All Blacks. So the All Black picture changes pretty quickly, Mills.
Yeah, it certainly does. And if you think about it from a Hurricanes point of view, it's probably the area or position that they really lacked. A lot of leadership and things like that. They had a lot of injuries in that. So you'd think, him coming back into the fold, he'll get straight back into that. I know in terms of the bigger picture, if he's good enough, then, perhaps he can have a little wee shot at it.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic for the Hurricanes. My only concern, like I said a few weeks ago, is do we lose one of those younger players? That would be my only concern. But if he's coming back for the Hurricanes, fantastic.
I know he's coming back for family reasons. His wife's back home and she's struggling a wee bit, and they're really family orientated. So a big part of him is family is a big decision. And I know we're going to talk about it could have been the money, and we don't want to lose that for the younger generation. But for him, family is hugely important. Yep,
and it is massive for the Hurricanes and gives us some depth in that position. All of the discussion now, though, is post the weekend and another title. This is the 5th in the row for Scott Robertson and the Crusaders. Let's think about this. You go Lions in the final, you beat the Jaguares, and then you don't have to win a final last year. This year they have to beat the Chiefs, and they do it with some adversity. I'm going to start with you, JK. I mean, was this probably their biggest test, the fact that they had to go through this Super Rugby Aotearoa and then beat a New Zealand team to get the job done?
I think it's the biggest test right across the board. Really hard for a coach to keep things fresh, keep things going for as long as Razor has. Moody gets injured. It's an intense competition. I think he's changed things up. There's no Reed. There's, no...
Or Crotty, Todd. I mean,
Todd,
those guys.
There's a whole lot of players that have gone out of it, and they just haven't missed the beat.
It was probably the first time that the Crusaders have been under a lot of pressure, and probably Razor, losing a couple of games, especially against the Highlanders at home by 33 points. That's a big dent to the armour. And then when that happens, they start probably getting a little bit of disbelief or a little bit of,
OK, you've been inside the camp. You know him well. What does he do that's different? I mean, how do you see it, the fact you've been in other environments and then you look at what they do? Is it about him? Is it about the organisation? How do those two things marry up together?
Well, I'll tell you a story. Before I went to the Crusaders, I was this close to quitting rugby, and I was this close. I fell out of love with it. I went there. He taught me how to love the game and love myself again and enjoy rugby. So he makes rugby enjoyable, and he makes going to work or going to training, you have a purpose. So he's very, very good at bringing a team together and creating an environment or a theme, as they say, where it has a purpose and it actually is meaningful, and you feel like every week and every day you're striving to that one goal of nailing that theme or being a part of the team. So he's very good at bringing people together.
The thing I'm interested in, and I had a little bit of a look at it when I was coaching the Blues, and it was their high performance. They seem to be and this is a statement, so I'm interested to see what you think. They seem to be one of the only franchises that actually don't worry when the person matures. So you see them go down to Lincoln, they've got a study, they go through it slowly, and they come out and they're 22, 23. Every other franchise seems to be in a hurry, and that's what, I don't know whether that's the case down there, but...
They're very good. They've got a guy, Aaron Webb, who's looking after the development and the academy side of it. Stefan Grutin, he's the trainer. And down there, they... Like you said, they don't rush them. They give them opportunity to become better people before they become better rugby players, and that's what really annoys me around the country at the moment. These kids at school wanting to be fully fledged professionals early. There's so much time for that pressure moment. Enjoy the moment. Figure out who you are as a person, and that's what they do. They develop these kids. Tamaiti Williams went down there from up north, and he's going great guns at the moment.
Mills, I've got to ask you this. Let's look at his results. Let's show you exactly where he sits in terms of those results in Super Rugby compared to other coaches who have had great success, and they are great names when you think about the list. Here are his matches. Okay, that's what he's won. There's his winning percentage, 85.7%, just 9 losses out of 77. But then you compare that. You compare that to the other coaches that have been at this level, Mills, and it's incredible, really. When you think about this. 5 titles, Robbie Deans, 5 titles. That win percentage we've talked about. Graham Henry, Wayne Smith, Dave Rennie. I mean, he's in an elite class there right now.
Absolutely. And this is what I was going to ask Izzy about it. It's all right. We've always known about the culture of Crusader Rugby. We've always known that they're all together, particularly down in that South Island with the Tasman and the Makos and things like that. But it's on the field too, because you have to constantly evolve in terms of what they're actually doing. You used to set up with a big sort of forward pack and things like that, but you have to change your game. You know, he's brought in different coaches, O'Gara, coming here, Jones from overseas, so he's open to that spectrum. What's he like tactically as a coach?
That's a great question. You got to touch on. He's had some great assistants. You know, got Jace Ryan there at the moment. I think is probably one of the best forwards coaches in New Zealand. And then you got Brad Moore, who's coaching the All Blacks. He's gone. Ronan O'Gara, who's taken La Rochelle to the Heineken Cup final.
Well.
Leon McDonald is up at the Blues. So he's got great assistants, but tactically he's good. He looks after most of the special players, the line-outs tactically, but he's got great assistants that helps him. What he does is he creates mindset. He creates energy and a good vibe, and he understands how each individual player works. So he's got a good helicopter view, as Tabs would say.
And we're going to go to Tabs because he's here. And one of those things, Tabs, that he focuses on, the fact it seems to me he gets his selections right as well.
Yeah.
And you think about when you've got the number of players you have to feed into this environment to give opportunities, the outside back department significantly congested. He settled on Will Jordan as his guy, and he established himself as the #1 fullback in their team. Given you've got someone like David Havili, it seems as though he's got a clear understanding what he wants out of his players.
And sometimes a little bit of that might be not necessarily management, but also injury. But the big machine also seems to keep developing players like Will Jordan. Now, we don't want to get on the Justin Marshall bandwagon from last week, but he did have a fair point. Fullback in particular is a really interesting selection. Some of those other selections are easy, but this one in particular for New Zealand is a difficult one. Now, Will Jordan, when you see here, one of the things he's doing better than the other two, and they're doing it well, is his ability to carry the ball back. That completely changes what the attacking kickers are trying to do, the opposing defences are trying to do. And one of the things when we fast forward how well Dave Havili played is having Will Jordan back there, the ability to absolutely test a defensive chase line. I think he's just slightly in front of these two.
Hang on a minute, hang on. Can you just stop there? Because, sorry, Taz, but, like, Jordan's got 2 things and Mackenzie's got 4 and Barrett's got 2, so how can he be better?
Well, I've tried to emphasise that mathematically by giving it a double tick.
Oh, OK.
But what we will do is if you go to Mackenzie, you can see there, you're right, he's best in a lot of areas. Like because he plays 10, you can see here that he actually gets other people into space, so his ability to distribute. He is more balanced. And the All Blacks have been looking for that double playmaker or getting more decision makers on the field. And when he's at fullback, you know you can do that. He's great under the high ball. He's good with the attacking kits. He definitely has a little bit more variation. But again, I'm going to mention it. Dave Havili, second pair of hands, his ability to play make. Does it mean that the All Blacks, if you forecast 2 years, for them having a genuine fullback, a Muliaina, Israel Dag, someone who absolutely tests the chase defence, is that what we need in the World Cup in a couple of years? I don't want to fast forward, but the All Black rugby is not far away.
And we're only talking 25 test matches. So we're going to come back to you and we're going to talk about the loose forwards a little bit later on. So thanks, Tabs, for that and insight. So this is all of a sudden you start talking about how we've wanted to play the game, JK. And we know, and you know, that Super Rugby is not test match level. But I look at this and what Tabs is talking about, Christian Cullen, Izzy, Mills, the fact, Ben Smith, guys who want to bring the ball back, threaten the defensive line, change the kicking tactics of the opposition. It seems as though we have been in that mindset of this dual playmaker, moving Beauden Barrett to the back. I look at Will Jordan and we give him the responsibility. It's time to give these young guys a go because we are running out of time.
Well, the first decision we need to make is whether we're going to play guys out of position or go back to specialists. First decision, because I think a few years ago, and you were probably one of the first, is he that, oh, he's a fullback, oh no, we're going to put him on the wing, and you know, there was a bit of that going on, and then the last few years, the back three have been doing that.
Mills,
yeah, but I think,
centre,
you know, but I think Mills is a little bit different because the Havili thing is, you know, Mills probably went to centre. That's a bit different for me, but the back three is another, like, I think Havili should just stay there now. I think he's as good there, and if I was him, I'm saying, look, I'm not going back there. And same with Mills, right? Probably did a little bit in the end, but the back three lately we've just been... So who do we put on the wings, right? Do you want specialists or do you want to play guys out of position because you think they're better than the current specialists?
I think we've gone around in a circle. Like the All Blacks, they've gone to the playmaker. You look at both times World Cups they've been successful. They've had out-and-out fullbacks, they've had out-and-out wingers playing in those positions, and they're trying to say they need a playmaker. Those fullback, you can't tell me D-Mac or Geordie Barrett or Will Jordan's not a playmaker. Those boys are playmaker. You get the ball in their hands, something's going to happen. So we've got to get rid of that dual playmaker. Yeah,
is that a mindset, though? Is that just a word that's
well, they've
coming
said
out
it, and they've got to, you know, kind of make it look like they're going to do it.
I mean, for you, who is your fullback right now in terms of... Because if you make that selection, it affects everything else you do, you know? Absolutely. It's the same at first five in the midfield. I mean, is David Havili that standout midfielder which forces you to maybe rethink how you play?
Yeah, I think Havili is a midfielder now. Like, I definitely think his skill set is amazing in what he can do. Why he's a midfielder now? I think he needs to grow in that position and grow in terms of the physical nature of it, because when you're at the back, you don't make those sort of decisions based on who's beside you and how physical it does get. That's what I was saying to you on Saturday night, that I'd love to see him grow in that department, you know, being able to sit someone on their butt when they sort of run down his channel. So I think he's got a beautiful skill set there. So, you know, for him to get that mindset now and change that, I think he's our second five. Yeah. To the back, I think it's got to be to your point, JK, that you have to pick who they are in terms of an out and out. And when I say out and out, is it a Will Jordan? Perhaps at the moment, I think they need an all-round skill set. You just can't be, because why I'm still a little bit hesitant about it is because, you know, what happens when teams don't kick to Will Jordan? You know, he's the best at bringing it back, but it's the other side of things about being all-rounded. Can he take high balls? Yeah. You know, at the moment, D-Mac, you know, for a small man, he's awesome at it. So I think if you're going to put him at fullback, set him at fullback there so then he can grow other parts of his game to actually become the best in the world at that position.
And as is Geordie Barrett, though, very, very good in the air, is he? These are hard conversations that need to be had. Like I say, the window of opportunity is probably now, and I just look at the way that we've had success in the past, and you say Mertz and Cully, Carter and Muliaina, you think Carter and Smith, even you go back Spencer as well. That combination to me, the balance between the two of them. But when I saw the development of Nonu's game, it was when Ryan Crotty came to the fold and forced Ma to expand. All of a sudden, the passing came, the kicking came, then all of a sudden the effectiveness in the midfield. I just see that from the Crusaders' point of view, the balance of him and Lester Whanganuku on the weekend. He's a beast. He is a beast. Yep. But all of a sudden, to me, that selection is going to be the toughest challenge for the All Blacks this year, about how much they look for here and now and how much they look at the future, because they know what they've got.
I think they know what they want too. You know, David Havili, we spoke about him before, I think he's starting to realise now that's his position. His head's telling him, yeah, I've got to play here. His body's telling him no, because he's very sore and a lot more contact there. So David Havili is out and out the best 12 going around in New Zealand at the moment. His distribution, his ability to be able to hit players everywhere. You saw on the weekend, he grabber kicks to the corners, so he's got an all-round game, and that's what the All Blacks need.
I think you can't go too far past Geordie Barrett at fullback, just because in a test match, very different, he's going to kick you a goal from 55. And I know D-Mac will hate me saying this, but I believe that we weren't as effective at the World Cup, because D-Mac is the best impact player in the world without doubt. Now, if I'm a player, and you guys would agree with me, you don't want to be known as that, but imagine him coming on late. He is going to punish people.
And who was that before him? Beauden Barrett. And it was Beauden Barrett who was the biggest impact. Where did that impact come from? It came from fullback and their ability to bring the ball back against the opposition. So we know it's congested on the outside. We're going to get Tabs now to look at a real position of great discussion. And Tabs, the loose forward trio, which they are a three, but who are the standouts out of Super Rugby Aotearoa?
Well, a couple of things. I've taken Himino, the Japanese international, out of our numbers, because clearly he can't play for the All Blacks, and I've taken people who haven't played many minutes and players who are injured. But what comes up?
Hey! What do you mean? Where's Dalton Popoalii here?
There's another page.
I'm sure the Crusaders guys on it as well.
We might not have time to get to that.
This is probably harder. I think the fullback one is a critical decision, but this loose forward trio, you guys can have a conversation if you think that these guys are All Black international rugby ready, but the numbers are saying these guys are leading the way. You've got Hoskins, who, you know, we talked about last year, his ability to work the ball on the line out. It doesn't seem like an important part. 2 locks aren't enough now. You need the variation. He's done a great job there for the Blues, been really effective. But his ball carry, he's the best ball carrier in the competition. And on the back of his ball carrier, he's also skillful like an Ardie Savea, so he puts people away. You know, the people that can enable others to score tries or make metres up the field are really critical at the next level. So he's the number 1 guy around effectiveness as a loose forward. Number 2, Ardie Savea. One of the things you see there is his skill set to help others get up the field. And it also helps that he's a phenomenal ball carrier, and so he attracts people as he goes. So by himself, he's a bit of a wrecking ball, but he's an enabler. He's also one of the most accurate loose forwards, which you'd expect of a veteran All Black. Fantastic over the ball. So he's nearly your A prototype loose forward. Rugged, good on the ball carries, continuity, super accurate. You're picking him every weekend. I don't know what position, but he's in the 3, isn't he? Frizzell, he's the defence coach's dream, line-out coach's dream, attack coach's dream, and he seems to find his way to the try line. So I think he's in the mix there somewhere because of his versatility. Now, Billy Harmon. I think you guys were talking about unsung heroes. This guy, number-wise, has been doing exceptionally well. You can see there that he's the most disciplined around the breakdown, but it's coupled with the fact that he's fantastic at jackling. That doesn't often happen. Players that are often got their head on the ball get penalised. They cost their team points. He has been fantastic in that area. Also, he's really accurate. Doesn't cough up the ball, doesn't drop it that often. I probably cursed him for Saturday, but he's one of the most accurate guys. And Luke Jacobson, I think we all agree, we probably haven't seen enough of him over the last 3 years, but he's the only player in the top 10 in all categories. And we see glimpses, don't we? Key moments at the end of the matches where he gets a good carry or makes a key turnover. So for me, if you're going to pick 5 loose forwards, he's definitely in it. But your conversation is this the group that's going to win a World Cup? And are these guys ready for international rugby?
Absolutely. And I think, Tabs, thanks, because it's fascinating when you look at the numbers and you talk about how influential Dalton Papali'i has been for the Blues. But in regards to that all-round play...
Well, 3 loose forwards, just 1 for the Crusaders, and they weren't up there.
Exactly, and it just shows you... Yeah, but that's exactly it. The depth that we start talking about in those positions and looking at what you're looking for, once they're going to come back to this fact of there's very limited time, Izzy. The fact you start looking at some of these guys who don't have a number of Test matches on their belt. They're talking about 30 being the number you want to when you go to a World Cup. Where do you go to from here with some of these guys?
Well, a guy like Billy Harmon, wonderful opportunity for him. He's been at the Crusaders, he's been stuck behind some great sevens, goes down the Highlanders and actually stands out. So, awesome that we'll be able to talk to a guy like Billy Harmon who's worked hard. They've got to get opportunities, and then you've got to give them opportunities to get out there whenever they're 4 weeks' time when they get a Test match. Next couple of weeks when they play Trans-Tasman, we're going to see them developing. We're going to be playing Australia. The Bledisloes are coming up, so we're going to see how they go in these opposition games.
I've got a question for you. Who's 7 and who's captain?
Well, I think that's that. I think it's the
exactly
make-up.
no Sam Cane, remember. No Sam Cane.
But it's a make-up in terms of what they actually want their trio to do. This is where the Lucies are a whole lot different. Do you have a fetcher? You know, I think all of them have got to have fetching to some degree. You know, who's the big ball carrier?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that has to do with the make-up of which guys are a line-out option. You know, I mean, when you've got locks that we have, you know, 2 metres tall, I mean, you might possibly only want one. So I think the make-up is very important in terms of their skill set and their strengths when you're looking at the loose trio and when you're picking them.
JK, I'm going to ask you this then, the fact that every team has a plan A and a plan B. And a lot of your selections go on how you're going to play in plan A. How are we going to be that team that in 2 years' time is going to a Rugby World Cup with an advantage over the opposition? Are we going to do it with the fact we were a dominant performance up front? We are overpowering teams, which England and South Africa did? Or are we going to outskill, outpace, and then rely on the one performance we need to front up physically and outmuscle an opposition? Where does our success lie? Because you think about all the balance we've got, all the attacking weapons we seem to have. What is our best tactical approach going forward?
I think when we've lost World Cups, including the last one, we haven't got the mix right between youth and experience, and we've hung on to some players a little bit too long. So I believe we need to take some risk at the risk of losing possibly a test match or two from now till then. We've got to start playing some of these guys. I'm pretty sure that the wise, you know, the wise heads, Foxy and Fozzie, they know what they want, but we've got to take some risk. If it's Harman, if it's Hoskins, we've got to get them out there, because by the time we get to the World Cup, they need to have that 20, 25 test matches. They need to have lost a couple. You need that experience, I believe.
And where does it leave a guy like Akira Ioane? Izzy, the fact last year, an outstanding turnaround in his career with the Blues, forces his way into the All Blacks through form, and then maybe through no fault of his own, no opportunities, few opportunities for the Blues. Blues start not playing well. Tom Robinson comes back in. Is this the guy who can, some way, in the next 5 weeks, earn an opportunity again?
Well, 100%. I just hope he's taken Kyle Sinclair's thoughts in his process. He's not just dropped his lip. He's working extremely hard, because when Akira Ioane is fit and he's working his butt off, as JK would say, that's when he's the best. His ball in play, his repeated efforts, he's getting off the ground, he's tackling. You saw him in that last test, I think it was against Australia. He was showing absolute mongrel, so he was good.
All right, look, I'm fascinated to see where this all goes. And remembering this, it's 5 weeks, and then we've got a final of Trans-Tasman Super Rugby, and it's all on. Ricky, come on in. I tell you what, plenty of debate. The green room will carry on after, as always.
Well, as always.
You did bring up Billy Harman, wasn't it? It was Billy Harman.
He was my
was.
Sexton Award
That's
last
right.
Week, so,
yes, indeed.
You know, there we go, Billy Harman. Now, after last week's abject failure in the quiz question...
But the answer is not Sam Whitelock tonight.
Somewhat nervous, but the scrutineers have looked through this quite a few times, and I think we've got the answer right this week. Not pointing fingers anymore, Jim Case. Right, the question is, under Scott Robertson, the Crusaders have lost 3 games at home. Against who? 3 games at home under Scott Robertson in his game. Look at you, pens to paper.
Pens down, pens up, pens down.
Mills will nod like he always does every week and says he knows the answer. So
got it.
Yeah, there we go. Done. Mills has got it. You guys have a think about that. Of course, Aotearoa Rugby is done. After the break, we're going to get into some Trans-Tasman Super Rugby. Stay with us on Breakdown.
Yeah.
This is it, the decider, where there's nowhere to hide, no room for excuses, and certainly no do-overs. But there is plenty of pressure as 2 teams vie for Super Rugby supremacy.
Jordan, why not? Why not?
Brings it away. Here's Nanka with a little bit of space. Looks to slip the pass. Outside of McKenzie. Oh, what a try that is.
And there's a ball. Yes, boy.
Driving for the corner. I don't think so.
Just enough.
They've done it again. The Crusaders win Super Rugby Aotearoa 2021.
How many finals have won on the bounce, and certainly not lost on them what they've achieved.
Incredibly well deserved.
AU champions for 2021 in front of their adoring home crowd.
Thanks for staying with us on The Breakdown and The Break. The boys have been feverishly trying to work out the answer to the quiz question. Under Scott Robertson, oh, hang on. Am I allowed to read the question first?
Yeah, get the question.
Under Scott Robertson, the Crusaders have lost 3 games at home.
Let's remind ourselves what it is he asked you.
Does a draw count?
Is a draw a loss?
Is a draw a loss?
No, I didn't.
You did so.
Anyway, I'm going to go to Captain Confident over here.
Yeah, you turned the paper around.
Islanders, Hurricanes, and British and Irish Lions.
Yes, Mills. Boom.
Oh, and he's gone straight to his cup. Look at him, sipping away like...
Yes, great. Do some homework, guys. Come on.
Do some homework.
Know your games.
And a drop the mic from Mills Molina.
And
that is right. The British and
drop
Irish
the mic.
Lions, the Highlanders and the Hurricanes, only teams that the Crusaders have lost to at home. Of course, the Crusaders are at home this week and playing Trans-Tasman Super Rugby. Now, we've seen across both competitions here and in Australia some law innovations. This is what's going to be happening during the Trans-Tasman comp. So we are sticking with the red card rule and goal line dropouts, but gone. No captain's referral from New Zealand. Hallelujah. The extended TMO protocol is also gone from New Zealand. A couple of Australia's variations, they had a 22-50 and a 50-22, all sorts. And the other big one, no golden point or golden try. So no extra time except for the final. So some changes being made. A lot of those innovations gone, just sticking with the 2 of them for the comp.
Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely gutless by all concerned. We are in COVID. It's time to innovate. We've got some... Look, maybe the captain's challenge is not quite where it should be, but it's still a change. The 50-22 that was in the Australian competition, fantastic. Sanzar, sort your out.
Look, I agree.
We should be able to just try stuff.
I agree with you.
Golden point, how good is it?
I agree with you, but I don't want to be on that front page with your name. So, but I'm going to say, look, we need, like you said, we need to be innovative. We need to keep bringing people back. And rugby is a show. And I've touched on the weekend's game. Like, how good was it seeing the halftime entertainment, the pre-match entertainment? That's why you get people to the game. And taking out all these new rules and things like that, we're not changing the game. It's getting the same old, it's getting boring.
Well, I don't know about that. I'll be interested to see, because if you look at what happened across the Tasman over the weekend and the final of Super Rugby AU, I thought we saw an outstanding contest. And I'm looking forward to seeing how both sides of the Tasman, they adjust and they come back into it. This was a great game. And the Australian game, for me, Mills, it looks as though it's progressing. It's incredibly fast. Yeah. They will have to take some things out, which I don't think are going to affect the speed of the game. And if anything, it's going to speed our game up. Less referrals, less slowing it down, less extensions of the TMO powers. I like this. I understand maybe some confusion, but in the end, we were never going to be able to come together and agree on some of those significant changes.
I would have loved to see the golden point. Yeah. And I suppose the 22 maybe speed up, but, you know, that's here or there. But I think the golden point in terms of... we don't want to get to round 5 and there's... all the teams are on the same points, right? So, I mean, why have it in the final as opposed to... We might as well bring it right through. But I think you're right. The Australians are getting there. You know? It's where they can get their intensity with the intensity.
OK, keep firing up, JK. I like it.
I'm just breathing. I'm just breathing. I'm going into my breathing.
Because don't let that ride get on top of you.
I don't disagree. But what we need to be able to do is be innovative, try stuff, and go to at the end of the season. What it looks like for me is a classic Sanzar trade-off. We've gone back to politics. Oh, we're not going to have this, not going to have this. We shouldn't have this. Just put them all in, and then at the end of the season, we'll decide how we move the game forward.
All right, let's focus a little bit on this Trans-Tasman competition, the fact that all that's happening here is a crossover between the New Zealand teams and the Australian teams. 5 games, 5 weeks, then they play a final. It's going to be fast. How you get off the starting blocks is going to be absolutely critical. Here's the key thing. The Highlanders, Blues and Hurricanes, they've got 3 games at home out of those 5. So significant for a start. The 2 teams that were in the final. The Chiefs start their campaign in Perth this weekend. The Highlanders take on the Reds, the champions from the weekend. They're travelling to Dunedin to take on the Highlanders. This is significant, Izzy, in terms of the nature of this competition. In week 1, how you start could be critical to whether or not you can make that final.
I was actually doing my Sky tipping today and I was looking and I was going through Highlanders v Reds, picked the Landers at home. I think the Reds will be just a bit too much for the travel coming over. And then I looked at the last game, Perth, the Force versus Chiefs. Force are playing extremely well. They'll be beaming with confidence for nearly making that final, pushing the Brumbies in that semi-final. So I actually went the Force in that game. I think they'll be too good and too harder there. But yeah, got to hit the ground running in this comp. If you get too far behind, you get left behind. You saw that
I don't really care. I don't care about the...
He's just throwing the toys. They're out of the cot now.
I don't care about the results. What I'm excited about is I think for the first time in probably 30 years, the Australian rugby has decided to play like Australia. I haven't seen a difference in our games across the Tasman since the 80s, where they played a style of football and we've played a different style. I think they've, on purpose, depowered it. They're trying to play a fast game, and I'm really excited about whether our power game, and we've probably gone more power, to their depowered and running it around a bit and being a bit looser, how that's going to balance up. I think as he's right. I mean, if you want to get the Crusaders, get them this week, And if your Chiefs have to fly to Perth, which is just about like flying to the UK, I mean, it's not an easy trip. That's going to be a hard one.
And we shouldn't forget the fact the Brumbies, the losing finalists, devastated when they were down to 13 men. They're travelling to take on the Crusaders. That's incredibly challenging. Plenty to give away here, though, Ricky.
Yes.
Tickets as always.
Tickets as always. Interesting too with the final, right? It can only be. It doesn't necessarily have to be an Australian team and New Zealand team in this thing. It could be seeing a Crusaders Chiefs again. Look at you, Crusaders again. Anyway,
Highlanders Hurricanes.
If you'd like to get to a game, we do have tickets to give away. So email us at thebreakdown@sky.co.nz. Let us know which game you would like to go to this weekend. Of course, it's the Highlanders on Friday night against the Reds, and then the Crusaders hosting the Brumbies on Saturday. We'll do it every week, but thebreakdown@sky.co.nz. And of course, last week we had a winner, and we also sent our cameras to follow around Matt Raynan and his wee lad Theo.
Theo played his first game of the season this morning, and to sort of come here at the end of the night, it's the latest he's been up for a while, so it's just very nice to be able to do this together. It's nice to see him get so much excitement out of it. The cool thing last week was being on the field and he gets to meet the players and set it up close is a cool thing to still be able to do. TV's great when it's nice and cold, but you just can't beat the crowd in the stadium, and especially in a final like this as well when the weather's nice. It's great.
Total ecstasy from the Crusaders.
Oh, absolutely amazing. It's something you very seldomly see in person, so just absolutely incredible, and always felt that they'd do it and felt that they did.
I like to say my team won.
Welcome to the Super Rugby Aotearoa Best of Edition. Let's kick it off with that time Justin Marshall was totally fizzing during the final.
Holy moly! Razzle dazzle! Me oh my! Yes, boy! Oofa! Big, good, wow!
Scott Robinson remembered he forgot to text his mother back. Referee James Dolman received some pretty heavy news.
James, the player who bats it back in field is clearly dead.
What?
Time's off, I just need some space here.
Yeah, I don't blame you, James. That's a lot to process. And then what about this try? It was enough to turn Justin Marshall into Fatboy Slim for a little bit.
The part of his body hits the ground! Yes, boy! How did he do that? Yes, boy!
And then it was high fives all round. Or was it? Hold on. Let's have another look at that, because I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't think there's any clear and obvious evidence that there's actually any impact there. That's not a high five, no way. Oh, that was though. Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, that deserves a little boogie too. Don't know who he is, but I love him. He was at the rugby. The first game was in Dunedin, and I thought I was watching an episode of Boomers Gone Wild. They look like they're on spring break. Oh, my heart was really going for it after that Chiefs game. Because of that.
Damien McKenzie, what a dish.
Oh yeah, he's totally dishy. He thinks so too. Sam Cane has been a nuisance in the coach's box. First he had no one to celebrate with, so he just started high-fiving a wall. And then he created this absolute mess by trying to give handshakes with his left hand. The poor guy sitting down was frightened for his life. This happened.
And we were been in
This was very interesting. The guy in the background gets up, takes his phone out of his right pocket and says, you know what? I'm going to put my phone in my left pocket now. That's better. The Canes were the first out, and of course under their contract, the public must avoid direct eye contact at all times.
They can't control who rocks up for the test, but what they can control is they can control what they can control.
The ref was chasing Dane Coles all day.
Dane, I need you, Dane.
And when he finally caught him, he sulked about it.
No, you're not talking right now, Dane.
Ooh. And finally, how about Sevu Reece having the worst day you can have at work? How was work today, Sevu?
Oh, yeah, you know, not too bad, thanks. I mean, I did have my bottom exposed to millions of people at one stage, but yeah, all in all okay. You?
And that was the Super Rugby Aotearoa Best of Edition.
Nice. Oh, nice work from the team. Nice work. Oh, we came out of there pretty... Only got you once, is he? What, you were out of the... Why weren't you? What happened?
He's been feeding the...
you've been given plenty of information away. All right, the game continues to change, and the women's game, well, it broke new ground a couple of weekends ago as the Blues and Chiefs women's team played their first ever match. It was at Eden Park. The Chiefs were victorious, but the result less important than the occasion. Cate Sexton, the head of women's rugby development for New Zealand Rugby, joins us to discuss in more detail what's next in this space. But Kate, thanks for joining the show. Importantly, what was the feedback after the first game at Eden Park?
Yeah, good evening all. Well, great occasion, wasn't it? Really pleased to see that get off the ground. Feedback's been fantastic. We had a catch up with the super clubs last week, and not only was the quality of the game, great, it was who got in behind it around the Blues, the hosting of it, all the wonderful to see the Guard of Honour with all the girls and young women supporting them, but also the partners and sponsors that got in behind it as well and made it a great occasion.
Kate, one of the things, and congratulations, I think the growth of the sport has been fantastic for our game, continues to grow. My biggest concern about a super competition is where it's going to be in the season. I think that, we saw some of the club results when some of the top girls away, not so good. So are you going to bring it at the end of the season? Is it going to be the beginning of the season like the current? How are you going to work that out? Because I think the growth of the game is as important as a super competition at the moment.
Yeah, it's pretty much dictated, JK, by the global competition that World Rugby have put out, WXV. So there is two test windows, one in the September, October, and the other in May, June. So we really tried to look at our season and we want to keep hold of the FPC. It's a great product. It's growing, leaps and bounds year after year. A little bit of hiatus last year, but still able to get that off the ground. So the new competition would be at the start of the year. So it helps the people put up their hand for the Black Ferns in that May-June period.
Kate, congratulations. It was a wonderful game. I mean, in terms of evolving, I want to talk money because at the end of the day, I suppose the woman, will be asking that question too. Have we gotten around to where have you had a discussion around, the minimum of 65 that the men are at the moment?
Yeah, look, that's certainly part of our discussions. I mean, it's an investment as we grow any new product. We know there is long-term benefits, not only commercially, but just for rugby in general, having girls and women involved in rugby. So certainly it's a big investment, and part of that is as we're asking more of our players, we're having to consider having a really sustainable system and contracting system that allows our players to be able to thrive and do what we're asking of them.
Hi Kate, Israel here. Just saw a lot of chat about the women's players at the moment. I want to chat about the women's coaches and the development of these coaches. Are we able to, are we doing a lot of work to get them into these teams, and is there a lot of work behind the scenes to help them develop? Because we want to see them coaching these Super Rugby teams potentially.
Yeah, definitely. Can't say it's perfect. World Rugby have put a great initiative in that all participating teams in the World Cup next year will have an intern coach. We have Whitney Hanson, who has joined us, and we're keen to continue her as part of our campaign rather than just for the block of the World Cup. Part of this new elite competition, we will ideally have at least one female involved in the coaching team. It's something we're going after, but we've got to weigh that up with is not putting coaches into situations that they're going to fail. So it's in behind what opportunities we can give them before they get into this elite and international scenes. We don't have the same sort of pathway as we do for the men, so that's a big focus for us, making sure that they're ready and have the right confidence and ability to coach at these different levels.
So, Cate, are we talking next season? How many teams, how many games, how influential will this be in terms of the future of the game here in New Zealand?
We're looking at 4 teams in the March period, ideally 3 in the North Island, 1 in the South. We're still having a lot of discussions. Obviously, you're aware that we're having those discussions firstly with the super clubs. There's lots of interest from them. Hopefully we can talk about this in a little bit more detail, sort of July, August. We're keen to get as much detail out as possible to give teams and players the opportunity to consider their future in this competition. So very excited about it and really pleased that New Zealand Rugby have backed it in the situation we're in at the moment. It's a fantastic step forward.
Thank you so much, Cate, for giving us the insight to know what to expect and look forward to. We can't wait to see how things evolve. And look, the standard we saw for the first time, the first game, it was something special at Eden Park. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, unbelievable. You know, the fact for me, I was really impressed. The quality of the game, looking at opportunities. I spoke to Eloise Blackwell and she said it was great. They didn't get the result, but for her, all of a sudden, they felt as though that they're one step closer to get what they're looking for as professionals. Ricky, but of course, that's at a professional level. Our club game, as always, continues on across the country.
I don't have another hour to talk about what's happening with the women's game, so we better press on because we do want to highlight some of the best of the club game each week here on The Breakdown with a selection of random results, really, including some of the clubs we visited earlier in the season. So here they are. In the Harbour Comp, Takapuna beat Marist NHRC 22-18. Hautapu 40-12 over Otorohanga in the Waikato Premier Comp. They're up to round 7 already in Ngāti Porou East Coast, where the Tahiro Victory Club beat Ruatoria City 43-10. In Wellington, Hutt Old Boys Marist beat Wainoia Mata 30-28. And on the West Coast, Blaketown beat South Western 36-17. Big win for Christchurch, 36-7 over Belfast in the Canterbury Metro Comp. And in Otago, Dunedin 37-35 over Harbour. About that.
Misprint.
Not a misprint at all. Of course, we asked for some of your best bits, videos and clips, and thanks to the crew from the Whakarewarewa Club, this is Clayton McMillan's club, for this absolute beauty. Here's Matthew Skipwith Garland receiving his 50th blazer for the club. He's played for Bay of Plenty, Māori All Blacks, but look at what this means to him. So cool to see. So do please send in your clips, send them in from the breakdown at sky.co.nz, and we can probably be bribed as to which results we want to run each week as well. How are you going, Tauranga Sports? Gotta hope. Nothing like seeing the big names in the game, though, back at grassroots level. There's not much Artie Savia can't do on the field, so now he's giving commentary a nudge, easy, joining our Sky team for some first 15. Here's a glimpse, and you can catch the whole story on Revision on Wednesday.
Watch out, Justin Marshall, John Curran, I'm coming after you.
And what a pleasure and what a privilege it is for our coverage of First 15 Rugby to have Hurricanes captain and All Black Artie Savia in co-commentary with us. Talofa, malo lava soifua Artie.
Malo lava soifua manuia Ken. It's amazing to be here today at the 29th Annual Presbyterian Schools Conjugula Tournament. Really excited to be here and commentate and see these young men go to work and showcase their talent.
Stoddard! Too big! Too strong and in the end, too good.
Exactly, Ken. Number 8 at the back of the scrum. With pace like that, with strength like that, he's a hard man to tackle, and obviously you see scoring points under the post. Got a game on our hands.
As they say in sport, a champagne finish.
This game is fast, Ken. It's exciting. I'm on the edge of my seat.
One play from either side will determine the victor in this thrilling contest. How's your heart, Mr. Commentator? You doing all right?
Yeah, my heart's racing, eh? Never been more excited watching college footy like this before.
That'll do it. They will win the game, St. Ken again with time on the clock.
So how are you after that? Game 1? Oh, game 2.
Glad it's
Two
over.
games.
I'm
Two
glad
games.
It's over.
Eh?
Nah, it was funny. Thank you for carrying me.
Nah, no worries.
Sore?
Nah, no worries, brother. It's one of those things where you just have to keep doing it to get better.
Yeah.
But I know, speaking on behalf of our team at Sky, our family at Sky, but I know on behalf of the viewers, what a big thrill it was to sort of have you with us. You know, given who you are in the game and given your leadership, to have you talking about these players and being part of our coverage makes it all the more special. So thank you.
All good as well.
Thank you. All the best with the rehab for your injury.
Yeah.
Hey? And maybe this is the start of bigger things to come.
Oh.
Hey.
Ken recruiting. Ken is recruiting hard. All right, we had a tipping competition running through Sky Rugby Aotearoa. Let's have a look at it. Here it is, and middle of the pack, straight back. Oh, last week, I picked the Crusaders and got my 1 point. And Mills, I just got you, did I?
Just put me,
Kirsty Stanway. But it does keep going for Trans-Tasman, and there's 5 games every weekend, so beautiful things. Beautiful things.
JK, who are you?
Once again, JK's not happy. What is this? It's been tough. It's just,
It's a technical issue.
What's a technical issue?
I don't think my...
Email it.
I just don't
make
think
sure
my
we get
tips
it.
are going
That kicks
through.
off all this on Friday. But what I can say to you, the fact it was great to have Aaron Smith involved in the build-up and the post-match show in Christchurch. But of course, he is focusing now on the Trans-Tasman competition. But we've been very lucky to catch up with a number of players over the course of the last couple of months. And documentary-style filming, he's coming up straight after the breakdown. Stay with us and check out Behind the Scenes with Aaron Smith.
Hi, Cameron speaking.
What's up, Cam? It's Aaron Smith here, bro. What's going on?
Go inside the 4 walls of the Highlanders' greatest.
I want so much for this club because they've given me everything.
From Monday
Yeah, every moment's special with him.
to game day.
Our game in our stadium. Nothing beats that feeling of mouth guard in, boots on. Let's go.
All access. Aaron Smith. Premieres Monday, Sky Sport 1.